Can you trust a system that sometimes fails the innocent? This question poses a disturbing reality that many of us prefer not to confront. Yet it is a reality that some have lived through due to wrongful convictions. This isn't a tale of fiction, but a glance into the darker side of our justice system. A system that, while designed to protect, can sometimes wreak havoc on the lives of the innocent. Wrongful convictions aren't just legal errors, they are life-altering events, derailing futures and shattering trust. They are moments that compel us to question, to challenge, and to seek reform. In the forthcoming segments, we'll delve into the top 10 cases of such wrongful convictions. We'll meet individuals who, despite being wrongfully convicted, managed to cling on to hope and fight for their innocence. We'll witness the strength of the human spirit and the pursuit of justice. In the pursuit of justice, let us explore these heart-wrenching stories. In the case of John Thompson, the truth was buried under a pile of withheld evidence. This tale of wrongful conviction begins in the heart of New Orleans, where John Thompson, an innocent man, found himself ensnared in a murder case due to prosecutorial misconduct. Imagine spending 18 long years on death row, knowing you're innocent, yet powerless to prove it. This was Thompson's reality, a grim testament to the failures of the justice system. A cascade of hidden evidence, including blood samples and eyewitness testimonies, was deliberately concealed, leading to his wrongful conviction. It wasn't until a private investigator unearthed the buried truth that Thompson was finally exonerated. His story underscores the importance of transparency, accountability, and integrity in our justice system. It's a stark reminder of how vital it is to ensure every piece of evidence is considered, every voice heard. The cost of keeping secrets in the court of law is a man's freedom, and in Thompson's case, nearly 2 decades of his life. For Cameron Todd Willingham, flawed science was his downfall. In 1992, Willingham was convicted for the tragic arson murder of his 3 children, a verdict largely based on forensic evidence. The fatal flaw: the fire investigation techniques used were outdated and unreliable. The indicators of arson, such as crazed glass and V-patterns, were later debunked by modern fire science. This case has since become a pivotal point in discussions around forensic reform. It's a chilling reminder of how faulty forensics can lead to catastrophic consequences. It's not just about science, it's about lives, about justice. The National Academy of Sciences even cited this case in a report calling for major reforms in the forensic science community. It's a call to ensure that scientific evidence is valid, reliable, and presented accurately in court. In the end, science failed Willingham, and so did the justice system. His story stands as a haunting testament to the urgent need for forensic reform. In Ronald Cotton's case, mistaken identity turned his world upside down. Imagine living a normal life one day, and then being accused of a crime you didn't commit the next. That's what happened to Ronald Cotton, who was wrongfully convicted of rape and burglary. His conviction was primarily based on victim misidentification, a common occurrence in wrongful conviction cases. The victim, traumatized and under stress, identified Cotton as her assailant, setting the wheels of injustice in motion. Despite maintaining his innocence, Cotton was sentenced to life imprisonment plus 54 years. It seemed like the world had turned its back on him. But Cotton never gave up. He spent 11 long years in prison, fighting for his freedom. It wasn't until DNA testing from the crime scene was matched to another suspect that Cotton was finally exonerated. His case underscores the devastating impact of misidentification and the importance of reliable evidence in our justice system. An innocent man's life was disrupted due to a simple mistake. For the Central Park Five, a coerced confession led to their downfall. This phrase echoes the chilling reality of 5 young men who were wrongfully convicted of rape and assault in the late 80s. Their ordeal began when they were detained and interrogated for hours without legal representation. Under intense pressure, they were manipulated into confessing to a crime they did not commit. This confession, despite its dubious origin, was enough to seal their fate, leading to their conviction. Years later, a convicted rapist and murderer confessed to the crime. and DNA evidence confirmed his guilt. This revelation led to the exoneration of the Central Park Five. Their story became a symbol of the dangers of coerced confessions and the urgent need for reform in police interrogation techniques. The media attention following their release helped to shine a light on the issue of coerced confessions and the devastating impact it can have on innocent lives. Coercion has no place in the pursuit of justice. In the case of Walter McMillian, a lie was all it took to seal his fate. Walter's story is a chilling reminder of the power of false testimony. In 1987, Walter, an Alabama native, was wrongfully convicted of murder. The prosecution's case was built around the testimony of one man, Ralph Myers, a career criminal who claimed he was an eyewitness to the crime. Myers's testimony was inconsistent and riddled with discrepancies, but it was enough to convince the jury. Walter was sentenced to death. He spent 6 years on death row, a living testament to a justice system gone awry. But Walter's story didn't end there. With the help of dedicated attorneys, his case was revisited. The truth emerged. Myers had lied, manipulated by the promise of a reduced sentence. In 1993, Walter walked free, exonerated, and a symbol of the fight against wrongful convictions. His story is a stark reminder of the devastating power of false testimony. A single lie can destroy a life. For Anthony Ray Hinton, tunnel vision led to his wrongful conviction. This is a tale of how a single-minded focus can obscure the truth. Anthony Ray Hinton, a man wrongfully convicted of 2 counts of murder. The investigators, driven by a singular focus on Hinton as the perpetrator, disregarded other potential leads and evidence that could have pointed away from him. This tunnel vision in their investigation led to Hinton spending an agonizing 30 years on death row. But Hinton's story doesn't end in despair. It's a testament to the power of relentless pursuit of truth. After decades of tireless advocacy, new ballistic tests contradicted the state's case, proving Hinton's innocence. In 2015, the Supreme Court unanimously overturned Hinton's conviction, leading to his release. An indomitable spirit, Hinton walked out a free man, but the scars of tunnel vision investigation remain. As we delve into these stories, let us remember, justice blinded by tunnel vision is no justice at all. In the case of Kirk Bloodsworth, DNA was both his doom and his salvation. In the mid-80s, Kirk was convicted for a crime he did not commit. His fate was sealed by a wrongful identification, and he was sentenced to death row. Here's where the story takes an unprecedented turn. Post-conviction, Kirk discovered a book about DNA and its potential in criminal justice. He pushed for retesting of the preserved crime scene evidence using this new science. In 1993, almost a decade after his conviction, the DNA tests revealed a truth that Kirk had been proclaiming all along. The DNA found at the crime scene did not match his. The once damning evidence now became his saving grace. Kirk Bloodsworth was the first American on death row to be exonerated by DNA evidence. This case served as a catalyst for the justice system, sparking new faith in DNA technology. In the face of hard evidence, the truth finally emerged. For Clarence Elkins, a subpar defense led to his wrongful conviction. This is a story about a man who spent 15 long, grueling years in prison for a crime he did not commit. Clarence Elkins was wrongfully convicted of rape and murder, a horrifying charge that he vehemently denied from the start. Yet, his defense was inadequate. It failed to challenge the faulty eyewitness identification and didn't properly scrutinize the lack of physical evidence. The defense couldn't effectively cross-examine the prosecution's witnesses, nor could they present compelling evidence of their own. The result? A man's life derailed, his freedom snatched away. But the story doesn't end there. After 15 years of tireless struggle, with the help of the Innocence Project, Clarence was exonerated. His case serves as a stark reminder of the crucial role a robust defense plays in our justice system. After all, justice is only as strong as its weakest lawyer. In the face of these stories, one question remains. Can we reform? We've traversed the labyrinth of wrongful convictions, witnessing the myriad pitfalls within our justice system. But it's not all despair. There's a beacon of hope in the form of organizations striving for reform. These advocates are tirelessly working to revise policies, improve investigative practices, and instill safeguards against the factors that contribute to wrongful convictions. They're pushing for the standardization of forensic methods, the implementation of double-blind lineup procedures, and the mandatory recording of interrogations. They're fighting for the right to competent legal representation and the proper handling of informant testimonies. These reformative endeavors aim to streamline the justice system, ensuring the scales of justice are balanced and true. They're not merely fighting fires, they're trying to prevent them, working towards a future where wrongful convictions become a thing of the past. In the pursuit of justice, the fight against wrongful convictions continues.